Welcome to One Step Deeper Late Night with JimmyMoore and BrittanyDavis. It's so funny because we're recording late in the day for me. So, late night edition
This
of...
is almost bedtime for you.
What'd you say?
This is almost bedtime for you.
It literally is. We're recording at 5 p.m. Eastern time on the day we're recording. And I go to bed at 6:37. So by the time we're done, I might be already asleep. So my Oura Ring better start tracking.
Oh my goodness.
But you've had a rough few days again as of the recording of this, and I've had some moments in my life, and I said, Brittany, it seems weird, but we need to record. Like, I think if we're going to show what we're talking about on this show, and especially last week's topic of dealing with processing overwhelm, we both had our own version of overwhelm that we're processing and still in the midst of right now processing. And so I was like, we need to record this next episode talking about shoulding yourself and all the shoulds and woulda, coulda, shoulda, but didn't in life. So that's what we're going to hit today. So if we're a little bit off of what you're normally, I've done this so long, I can kind of fake it, except to my friends, and my best one is right there. She's going to know I'm not myself, and I can tell right now she's not herself either.
Well, I think, again, like you were touching on, I think we both realize that we can't always bring our best selves even here. And I think that's a part of the shooting yourself topic that we're touching on today, is that there's absolutely no way, if we waited until you were having a perfect day and I was having a perfect day, we'd never do this. And I think that's the whole point of it, is
2 episodes a year if we did that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, exactly. With all of my kids and everything that's going on. And so, yeah, we might be a little bit off of the energy that you guys saw last week at the last episode, but I think having this energy, this real rawness of both what we're going through this week, I think it's going to help and show people, hey, stop shooting yourself. Stop acting like you have to be a certain way or act a certain way or present a certain thing.
So let's kind of get into the topic, because I had heard this kind of whole phrase of stop shooting yourself. Kind of explain it to everybody so they kind of know what we're talking about, and they'll get into that mindset, and then we can get into all the shoulds that we do.
Yeah. So I had heard this probably a year, 2 years ago, and it's something that I've said all the time. And me, as the perfectionist, I have to constantly remind myself. It is so easy to snap off. We all could do it. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. I should. Or even like other people, you should be doing this or you should be doing that. And so for me personally, it's why I stay very cautious when I'm on social media, because there's so many people that's like, well, I'm doing this, so you should do this. And I cut those people out so fast, because I should myself enough. I don't need anybody else's help with that. And that's kind of the idea, that we have this notion and these rules in our head of we must do this, or we should be this way, or we should eat this way, or we should have a relationship this way, or we shouldn't have a best friend who's 20 years older than us. All of these shoulds and rules that we put on ourselves that truthfully are either made by ourselves or made by others.
I'll give you an example. I was doing Jimmy Rants today, which I do Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern time on Instagram, Jimmy Rants. And this guy came on and said, oh, I'm a big fan of fasting. Really love the work you've done in that area. Then why the hell are you still so fat? You should be less in weight.
I missed that.
I'm used to the kind of comments by now, but it was part of what we're talking about here. There's these expectations, and even on ourselves, when we say stop shooting yourself, the expectations, where those come from? They're arbitrary. They came out of what we think things should be, not out of reality, not out of any kind of obligation that you're supposed to follow. There is no supposed to. There's no manual in life other than don't kill people and stay alive. You do those things and you're pretty good. But like, it's those kinds of things that are out there that the shoulds kind of put these undue pressures on people, and the people that put pressure on is the ones that put pressure on themselves that are the worst at it. Because I'm going through something that you know about and very few people know about, but the ones who know about, where I feel like it should be done and over with by now. And it's not. And I'm having a very difficult time resolving that shooting all over myself about that one. And it's part of why I'm in the mode I'm in right now. And you've had your own fair share of should, dealing with some of the things you've been through in this year where you almost died. And now that shooting is coming back in your life. So we both have, this is a struggle, but I think it's worth seeing on camera that even in the midst of the shooting yourself, you can still live.
Right. And I think I was really trying to not protect everybody. That's the incorrect word, but like I was trying not to show this side of me like right away. Like, come on, we only been on 3 dates together, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need to be showing all my tears, but I feel like this is going to be the episode that I lose it. This is going to be the episode where you guys are going to see some tears, because I am coming off of 4 days straight on the couch, just in intense, cannot get up pain. And guess what's been running through my head? I should be doing the dishes. I should be spending time with my kids. I should be able to be here for my husband. I should. And so I kind of laughed. I talked about this in my Instagram stories the other day about how processing overwhelm came at the perfect time for me, the episode from last week, because I needed all of the information that I gave myself. And I think considering what I and even you have been through the last couple of days mentally, and shooting our own selves and bringing that forward here, yeah, it's talk about real and raw. It's probably going to get there.
Well, and in your case, I mean, it's not just the should get the dishes done, should be present with the kids, should be there with the husband, blah, 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 all the normal things. But you're also shoulding, hey, I should be healed from this. I should have overcome that. That's why I went through all that. And so should leads to why leads to anger and despair and all the feelings. And you've been feeling them. And guys, I got a nice little peek the other day at Brittany at her worst, because I don't think I had seen that side of you in our friendship. I got to see it. it was tough. I wanted to be present, and you pushed me away a long time. You're like, nope, I don't want you to see this part. Nope, don't want you. I said, I want to see it. I want to feel the rawness of where you are. You're going to show a little bit of it today, but I needed to see that, and because I think it helps you help each other when you can hear, like you've heard me and my worst, I guess not my very worst, but pretty darn close. And I heard you at your worst, and we still like each other. We still are friends. It's not like it ended anything. But the shooting, yours goes deep. It's more than just the temporal things of the day to day that you talked about. You feel like you should have been healed by now with all the scars and everything. That's working on you, and then that's working on you. And why am I falling apart? I'm alive today, so I shouldn't be like you do. You got shoulds coming out your ears, girl.
Oh, yes, it's just coming back up. And for anybody that doesn't know, I just want to give a little backstory of what I'm talking about when it comes to all this. So last December 2019, I had a hernia mesh placed where I had gotten a hernia the day after Thanksgiving. That in itself was pain enough. After the mesh was placed, I was told 2 to 4 weeks I should be by 2 weeks I should feel back to normal. By 4 weeks, everything should be fine. I can get back to my running lifestyle. I was running a lot at the time. And by 4 weeks, I'm in so much pain, I can't get off the couch. And I kept calling my doctor, hey, something's wrong, something wrong. And by January, 4 weeks later, I end up in the hospital with emergency surgery. I am all but gutted. I have an 8-inch incision, 23 stitches, 24 days in the hospital. I spent with 2 other procedures. Sorry, I am covered in scars on my abdomen. And every time it's been almost a year, and every time I feel like, oh, I can do this. Like every time I start working out again or able to get to some place of the things that I should be doing, when I get back to that place, my body's like, nope, F you, Brittany. You get to sit on the couch. And that's pretty much what had happened. And was finally able to get back to the lifestyle that I enjoy, the lifestyle that brings me peace and you know, the shoulds in life. And I finally got back to that in literally 4 days on the couch. I couldn't get up. And like, let's just be really real. I don't even got regular pants on. I'm in pajama pants because I'm in pain right now as I speak. And you're right. It's like I should myself of all of these things. The only thing that has gotten me through these last 4 days, other than just anchoring to my wife and my husband and my children, is the fact that if you want to talk about should, I shouldn't be here. I should be dead.
Yeah.
And so that's really it. I've kind of just, all right, I'm hurting, I'm in pain, and yes, I have all these things, but I'm still here. I'm still here.
And that's a good point, by the way. When you start shooting yourself, you need to think of all the what is, and the what will comes that are there, because there's a lot of what is and what will comes that give you hope. Like for me in my situation, again, I'm not at liberty to talk about it publicly. I hope I can sometime at least talk about the outer edges of it so you can understand. But just know it's something I'm going through that's pretty tough. What's keeping me grounded right now, at least as best as I can, with all that shooting about it, is just knowing when I'm on the other side of it, things will be better. Like I know they will. Like there's no doubt in my mind. And in the meantime, in the shooting, I'm trying to remember the blessings I have in my life. That I have a roof over my head. I have a best friend that cares about me. I got a hot tub I can pop in when I'm, stressed. I have a lot of fun luxury things I know that life has given me. And when you remind yourself of what you have and who you are and where you are in life and what's to come, that makes that shooting a whole lot more bearable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think at the end of the day, we're all going to should ourselves. Like we just all are. We're all going to have that base. But it's what do you do when you get to that point where the list is going off in your brain over and over again? What do you do in those moments? And I know we kind of chatted about this a few times now. I know we had like a little bonus episode, but I think it's so important for us to have that why, something that we can always just pull back to and anchor ourselves to. Like I said, these last 4 days have been difficult. Posted a picture of myself crying, and that's where I've been for 4 days, right on that couch, crying intermittently, whether from pain, whether from frustration, whether from I should be doing this. That's I've just been falling apart. And every time I go to fall apart, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Why am I doing this? Why am I here? Why am I still pushing? Why? And so I just turn back to that and push as much as I can and hold on to that.
One should that you did was you said, I should handle this on my own. So when I was pestering you, please call me, please talk, you're like, nope, I should do this on my own. I've always done it on my own. It's how things are done in my family. And I guess I'm going to do it. Who says? Who put that pressure on you that you have to bear this alone? Who put that should in your head? And that's kind of a good kind of thought process for you guys watching right now or listening on the podcast, is if you start shooting yourself, ask yourself where that came from, because a lot of times it's just a societal norm or something that you just always done, but you've never questioned why you do it. And so when you kind of went in your hole the other day and was like, I got this, I'm going to do it on my own, I'm like, uh, I was kind of like at a loss trying to figure out, okay, why is she shoulding that she should do it herself when I'm a ready, willing, and able friend? I kind of got upset that day. I think I told you that. I was like, let me help you. And you finally did
Right.
the day after you let me talk to you.
Yeah, but it was only after. So little context, and I don't mind people knowing this. You want to see broken Brittany? I have no problem bringing vulnerable, broken Brittany to people. It does not bother me at all. I worked really hard to be able to be vulnerable with people, and I broke down those barriers, but a barrier that I have not even let, and I spoke this to you, not even let my husband see that side of me is, I say this all the time. Anger is not an emotion, anger is a reaction. And it's always my first reaction to any situation. And it's because trauma taught to me, modeled to me, wherever you want to pull it from. Anger is just a response that has been all around my life. And so I go there too. So I wasn't crying at first when the pain set in. I was mad as hell. I was like, what the actual crap is going on? Like, I thought I was over this. It's been a year. And so I was so angry. And yes, you wanted to help me. And I should have. I should have.
I do so bad. Because I've gotten to see a lot of sides of you, but I had not seen that side of you. And it wasn't that I was because you're like, I'll say something to you. I said, you could say anything to me and I will not stop being your friend. And I know the same on your end. If I said pretty much anything to you, I could think of a couple of things, but no, anything to you and you wouldn't stop being my friend. So it's like when you have that kind of trust in each other, you don't really let work. And I would know the context. She's upset, she's hurting, she's angry. I would know the context. If you called me an asshole or whatever you were going to call me, that would be fine. I've heard worse, by the way. So I hear them on Jimmy rants on my YouTube stream today. I'm okay. So, but like, yeah, I really wanted to see you in that moment.
And you're right. That is an area of my life that I continue to should myself if I should be angry alone. And it's honestly modeled, I spoke this to you. My dad does that. We actually call it the Barbaric Temper. Like, that's my maiden name. It's literally something in our family where we call it the Barbaric Temper. And we've recognized it within ourselves. And I think the biggest point of growth in my dad and myself is we walk away instead of saying something to the people that we love, instead of saying something that we don't mean or saying something out of anger and out of that reaction. We walk away and try to grasp it ourselves and then come back. And for me, like I said, I can speak feelings all day long. I can speak rational. I can rationalize why I'm feeling the way I am, but anger isn't an emotion, it's a reaction. And so I try to calm that initial reaction first by walking away and just and break through that tough exterior, and then I'll come to you. Then I'll bring you crying, sobbing, broken, frustrated Brittany instead of angry and mad at the world. And that would ultimately, I feel like, and this is probably just in my head and not truth, I feel like I would lash out even at the people that I love, which is why I walk away.
And that's a fair statement as to why you do that. But if one is asking for it, the should is out the window at that point. They're asking for it, give it to them.
Yeah, I'm gonna remember that.
And same with
Good luck.
Same with Wildman. I mean, if he don't assume that he doesn't want to help you in those moments too. Now, it's a bit of the mind of a man as well, to not to fix, but yes, a lot of guys do want to fix, but like even to hear and help kind of bring comfort and encouraging words. At least that's my heart when I talk to you. So that would have been the modus operandi more than anything. Kind of like when you're in the hospital.
You actually broke up there for just a minute. I didn't catch much of that.
You mean that? On the final recording, they heard everything that I said, but the long and short of it is, let your friend help you if they offer. So, yeah. But let's get
Yes, and you are right.
Yes. Well, and I asked for it. So if next time you're in almost pseudo Brianka mode, I want to hear it. I want to hear that, all the everything, because I assume Brianka does come out in those moments.
She was definitely out the last few
Uh,
days.
is she would change your tone? You change your tone when you get into Brianka. She would getting out on the eater. Oh, she's smiling at me right now. That's scary. Um, well, let's move on to more of the shoulds, because in this world we have a lot of shoulds. You should lose weight. You should, have children. If you get married, you should get married. There's so many shoulds, and we could do subsections of shoulds of, well, if you're a Christian, you should wait till you're married to have sex. You should, not go out and drink and smoke. You should, I mean, we're going to do a whole episode just on the religious stuff, but we're going to save that till after the new year. But there's so many shoulds in life, and I guess they all boil down to just what society deems is good and normal, or in the case of your individual, what you have chosen to believe in your head is true.
Absolutely. And touching on parenthood has been the biggest. Oh my goodness, moms are ruthless. Like, there are some moms out there that are ruthless. You should do this with your child. You should do this. You should. There are so many shoulds tied up in parenthood. And I don't know about you, but like my parents did not have it this hard. It was like, oh, let me kick you outside, come back in when the street lights are on, like that was it. Like there was no rules or you should do this, you should feed them healthy. Like, here kids, here's some hugs, juice, and a hot dog and some bags of chips. I mean, what? But now it's like you should feed them all organic, or you should feed them no sugar, or you should never take them to the fast food place, or you should homeschool, which I do. But I don't care what other people do with their kids. Make sure you take care of them, make sure they're loved, make sure they know they're loved, and all the other stuff, all the other shoulds. It's very overwhelming, and that goes back to last week. Like, it's so overwhelming to have to process all of the shoulds that other people have spoken and then we put on ourselves.
Well, and in the parenting realm, one of the things that you buck the trend of with your parenting style is you should spank your child. And that's something that's very normal within our society. And there's this kind of should that's out there. Oh, you should discipline your child, spare the rod, spoil the child, all that nonsense that's put out there. And you take a different approach to it and you get flack because others put that should on you.
Yeah. And that's one of the areas that I accepted the shoulds of myself and of other people for so long that I did my own research and I dove so deep into the parenting realm that I am 100% confident in the choices that I make with my children. And when it comes to that, again, I go back to whenever other people, whatever their end result is, after they've done their own research and they found the best thing that works for them, I will respect that. But for me and myself, you're right. I live down deep in the South, where if you don't spank your children, they're going to turn out bad. And I see the memes all over Facebook of some rowdy person of they have AWD, ass whooping deficiency. You ever heard that one?
AWD, that's funny.
Yeah, a good friend of mine, she was telling me about that a while back, and so I thought it's cute. But no, I don't spank my children. I do believe in discipline, and I do believe in not expectations, that's not the right word. We have standards. We have
Right.
standards in our life. Yeah. But yeah, that's one of the areas that I have definitely bucked the system of, nope, you can take your should and take it over there. You can should yourself. I'm good with where I am.
So how do you help people identify the shoulds in their life? Because I think, Brittany, people have gone through life and they're watching this for the first time, listening to it, and they're going, oh my gosh, do I do that? And so, like, how do you help people catch these shoulds they're doing? How to help them stop shoulding themselves?
Self-awareness is so important in many different areas. And it's literally it's as simple as listening to yourself. Because when you should yourself, you say that word. I should be doing this or I should be doing that. And sometimes it takes processing each one of those. Like, okay, here's a should. I should take a bath. Yeah, yeah, you should. You should clean yourself. Yeah. That's a should that you should brush my teeth. Yep, yep, you should brush your teeth. That's definitely something that you should do. But when you well, I should be at that family get together because everybody else is going to be there, even though it's going to make me feel like crap. I should be there. Maybe you shouldn't.
That
You
sounds like
shouldn't.
that sounds like a real story.
Well,
We're
I
gonna
just pulled
talk
that
about
one
that.
out of my ass. I promise.
We're gonna talk about that very topic next week. So hold that thought.
Yes, hold that thought. Just a little taste.
Yes, yes. Yeah, man, it's hard because not all shoulds are bad. Like, I remember in my 20s, I used to, as a long time ago for Jimmy, I used to, as my friend was 8 years old when I was 28. So I used to think I should be in a better job. I should be further along in my career, da da da. And that kind of motivated me to then go pursue that and then go get it. So we don't want you to get the misunderstanding, you guys, that all shoulds are bad. But when you should all over yourself all the time about all the lamentations of your life, what it demonstrates is a lack of gratitude for where you are in this moment. Because if you're grateful for the moment, for all the things like I was talking about earlier, I've got good things in my life despite the crappiness of this thing I think should be over. Um, you forget about all the good things. And so showing that gratitude, recognizing the blessings, recognizing you got good relationships in your life, people that care about you, things in your life that give you hope, promise, and value, cling on to those. Because when you have that and you recognize it and you articulate it, you don't really should as much as you normally would.
Right. And I want to go back. You were talking about your 20s. Excuse me as I clear my throat. I wanted to touch on a subject within this shooting realm that I wish more people talked about. You should not have your life together in your 20s. If you do, it is a rare anomaly. Like, there were so many things when I got married. Oh, I should have this big house. I should have this particular job, or I should be at the top of. There are so many people in their 20s who mentally struggle because they think I should be here, I should be there, I should. When in reality, I would dare to say wait till 30, maybe 30, maybe by 30 you should have a little bit of stuff together, just a little bit. But it's just like so many people. I have younger siblings. I have an adopted older brother who's a year older than me, but all the rest of my siblings are younger. And I have a lot, guys. I have 4 brothers and 4 sisters. I have a lot of siblings. But they're all younger than me, and I tell them all the time. One of them is 18. Honey, baby, there's no, you should not have all of these things in your head that you should be, should be. I have a younger brother who I love dearly, and he's so hard on himself. He is so hard on himself, and he thinks he compares where he is to where, people who are older than him are. And I'm like,
Right.
you gotta stop comparing yourself to other people. You are where you are. You have to stop. Oh, I should be in this house or I should be in this job. You got to take that off of yourself. I don't know many adults that have it all together.
I'm 48 and I'm still trying to figure it out. So, yeah. And it's interesting, the whole should thing. I've been a very successful podcaster. This is like my 12th podcast I've launched, is One Step Deeper. And so I have people come to me all the time who start podcasts or just start a brand or whatever. And they're like, I should be where you are. I'm like, Really? Like, I've been at this for 15 years. I put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get to where I am now. Don't think that just because you're a Johnny come lately the past year, you should suddenly jump to now where I'm at. You might, or you might surpass me, but that's an unrealistic should on yourself. And so sometimes the should is born out of jealousy of others, born out of seeing what other people have done, seeing how other people's lives have gone. Oh, wow. Susie over there, wow, she's got 3 kids and they're all angels, and her husband, and they're just together all the time. And so I should have that experience, but I don't. Those kinds of things pop up too.
Absolutely. I think we freeze ourselves in the should of, well, I should be that way, but I'm not, so I'm not even going to try. I'm not even try to get over there. But let me be 100% honest. I think it's pretty much universal now that people have recognized the bullshit that comes along with social media. If anybody watching here sees my feed and thinks that I have it all together, you're wrong. I love you, but you're wrong. I fall apart almost weekly. Me and Jimmy have weekly conversations that involve some area of my life that I want to improve. And yes, it always starts with I should do this or I should be this way, but I always check myself of I'm exactly where I need to be on the way to where I'm going. But no, Brittany don't got it together. No, no. Mm-mm. Don't should yourself by some standard that you think I have set for you, because it is false.
Well, and that's a good reminder with anything you see online. That's the highlight reel of that person, not how the day to day is. And you don't want to show all doom and gloom. There are some people that's all they show on. I got some friends on Facebook. Oh, woe is me. This is the bad thing. Da da da. Oh, okay. Nobody follows those people. You quickly unfollow and, oh, love you, but gotta go. Gotta protect my mental health. But yeah, I mean, the shoulds are going to be the death of some people. Because I think you can should yourself to intense stress, and it's going to have an impact. And then you start gaining weight, and then you say, I should lose weight. But then you start having like blood sugar out of control or some other health issue. Oh, I should get that under control. And the should becomes the instigator of the next should. And I'm sure there's a lot of shoulds that people deal with that they don't even realize. If they don't deal with that should in the moment, it's going to turn into a whole lot more should. It has baby shoulds all over the place.
Yes. Okay. I'm an example person. Let me put this into perspective in a real life story for the people watching. When I was in the hospital at the beginning of the year, I lost 20 some pounds in the hospital. I was unable to eat for 19 days. I mean, that's what happens when you don't eat for that amount of time. And as soon as I got out of the hospital, though I didn't like how little my body was, hey, you know what I'm saying? This is the smallest I've ever been in my adult life. And what happens when a sick, broken body begins to eat food again? It sucks onto everything. And so it felt to me that there was this uncontrollable weight gain that just kept coming and coming and coming. And so as I'm broken and hurting and looking back, I'm so upset with myself that I did that. I shoulded myself as I laid on the couch, broken and hurting, and I could do nothing. I couldn't work out. I could barely walk in my house. We ate takeout and meals that people provided for us for I can't even begin to tell you how long, because I couldn't stand up long enough to cook. And so I wasn't eating no low carb. I was eating whatever people gave me. And so I'm gaining weight. And my brain was just like, you're a failure. Like, I'm just trying to live my life. I'm just trying to survive day to day. And my brain was just, you should be doing this. And and it does not help. I finally had to remove myself from this one particular account. They had a surgery as well about the same time I did. And she was like, well, I can still eat my diet and I can still work out and I can still do all these things. And I'm like, well, I can't. but it didn't stop it didn't stop my brain from seeing that and registering, well, maybe I should be doing, maybe I should be doing that. And so then to process through all of that and finally get to a place this summer where I'm like, you know what? I'm good. And I did well June, July, most of August. Somewhere around late August, early September, the pain starts coming back. And fast forward to this week, whoa. I have not been 4 days consecutively in pain since I got out of the hospital. And so that should just begins again.
And it's going to stay there in some form or fashion because you've so supplanted the reality of the situation with the should. So let that sink in, you guys. Do you have some kind of thing you're shoulding right now where the reality doesn't bear it out? The reality is, yes, you've got this pain that's come from this surgery, which, oh yeah, by the way, you might have died from had you not gotten it done. So the should supplanted the, oh yeah, that thing saved my life. Yes, it's still causing pain now, but at least all these months later, I'm still here to feel pain, because feeling pain, last time I checked, means you're alive. Because when you don't have pain anymore, you're dead. And yeah, so it's all about perspective, and shifting the shoulds over from what we think should be happening over to what is, and being thankful for what is. I'm thankful that Brittany is here and alive and well and helping people with this podcast and being all the things to all the people in your life that you are, including those 3 munchkins and that sexy bearded guy you have, you're married to. So, I mean, all of the things you have to just remember. And again, like I said earlier, be grateful for.
Absolutely. Speaking of gratitude, I never like to just get on here and just blurt at you guys about some topic. I always want you to walk away thinking about something or feeling challenged. When it comes to gratitude, there's an exercise that I do around shoulding myself or overwhelm or anything really, where I try to ground myself in gratitude. I am not always grateful for the pain. It's very difficult to be grateful for pain.
Yes.
So if I can't be grateful for that in the moment, then I find anything else. So as I was laying on the couch for 4 days, I was in so much pain I couldn't even focus on a TV show. I didn't even have the TV on. Most of the time I had my phone set beside me.
Not even Friends?
No.
Wow.
That's how bad it was. I didn't even have Friends on.
If she's not watching Friends, the world is coming to an end. So
yes, I didn't even have Friends on in the background. I couldn't focus on anything. And so as I'm laying there, I just start looking at the ceiling. There's nothing on my ceiling but a ceiling fan and some vents. And I just started thinking, oh, I'm thankful for central heat and air, because otherwise I would have to get up and I would have to cut some wood and I'd have to have a fireplace and I'd be in too much pain to do that. So then I'd just be cold. So I just let my brain run wild with gratitude. If it's going to run wild, let's run wild with gratitude. Let's be thankful for all the stupid things. Like I was looking at my fireplace and I was looking at, you know what, I'm really thankful that I found those fuzzy stockings, because I really like those fuzzy stockings, and I'm grateful for those fuzzy stockings that match my Christmas tree. And speaking of Christmas tree, I really liked how my Christmas tree turned out. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for all of my friends' decor. I'm grateful for my coffee pot. I love coffee. And so if I could not be grateful for the pain, I was going to find something to latch onto, something to be grateful for. And I think if we're all honest with ourselves, we can find something to be grateful for.
And you can't be grateful and should at the same time, because should is a sign of ungratefulness. Ooh, let that sink in.
Howie. Ow.
Because when you're shoulding, you're saying, I'm not good with where I'm at right now. And so you kind of put that expectation on yourself. I should, whatever the should is, think it through. Is there any should where there's gratefulness in the same time? Not that I can think of.
I need to write that down and like post that on a mirror or something. That's painful, Jimmy.
Just popped in my head, and I'm thinking of my own self, of all the things I'm shooting, including this thing now. If I'm shooting that this should be over, what am I ungrateful for? A lot. What should I be grateful for? Everything. Gratitude is now the kryptonite for shooting yourself. That's not where we were going to go in this episode, but I'm processing that in my head as we're doing this show, and I'm going, every step of the way where you should yourself, you should be thinking of what you're grateful for, what the blessing is in your life, and stop shooting yourself by becoming grateful, like we were just talking about, and how you did it, just staring at the ceiling, and even silly things. Silly things are things in your life that are real. And this is helpful, by the way, because I was having a whole lot of shoulds just an hour ago, and here we are recording. This is why I wanted to record. I knew something would come out of this that would be good, and it's making me think with my best friend. And now I'm going to cry live on the air, because I've had a tough time this year, as you know, and you've had a tough time this year, and so there's a lot of shoulda, woulda, couldas that come out when you go through adversity, but it makes you focus on those good things in your life.
Yeah. And my husband likes to talk about this a lot, my wild man, that he's gone through a lot of adversity in his life. He's not as open to talk about it as I am, but he's gone through a lot in his life, and he's always said, and always, you don't know how good the good times are unless you've had bad times. And if you don't have things in your life that show you all the hard ways, how can you be grateful for the good things? It just makes you that much more grateful for, and that man right there, I could spend hours just in gratitude for him and the blessing that he is in my life, and even you, Jimmy. I mean, I could go on for a while. Yeah, I'm not gonna cry.
Oh, you can cry. Hey, I'm emotional, and I don't care. Guys aren't supposed to be. You should not be emotional if you're a guy. Well, screw that. I've always been emotional.
Amen. Amen. I am tired of that should, the social should of guys should be quiet. Maybe we wouldn't have so many emotionally unhealthy men, the emotionally stagnant men, if we allowed them to feel anything outside of happiness or anger. Why is anger accepted from men? Let's not get off on that tangent, but
Yeah.
yes, I am all for men feeling the feels.
And you can be a man and have feelings and not be gay. That's one thing that comes up, or not be weak. I think I'm a pretty strong man. I mean, there's so many like ideas around a guy that shows vulnerability.
Yeah, that's a should that you and I, we release you from that.
For sure, because it's something I've never felt bad about showing emotion. I've always been an emotional creature. I think that's why a lot of my friends are girls, because guys don't go there. And so, yeah, you're my very best friend, but I have several other friends, girl. I have one guy friend that's about my age, but he never goes there like you go there, or like some of the other
But,
my life go there. What's that?
but why? Because it's here. I shouldn't. I shouldn't. I shouldn't. I shouldn't. And that shouldn't has now become a personality trait. It's so far past. It's been beat into them so much. It's so far past a misfire in your brain that lasts a second. It's become a personality trait that no, we're not going to talk about that. No, we're not going to have feelings. No, we're going to turn that off and go in my nothing box and just think about nothing. And I'm not going to allow myself to, because I shouldn't.
And I wonder how much of it is what you were saying earlier about your dad and that trait that, oh, must run in the family, that we kind of go off and feel the feels and be angry all by ourselves and da da da. I wonder how many guys had that demonstrated to them. Well, that's just how you handle things. And I didn't have an emotional dad. So therefore you don't show an emotion as a dad or a man in life. And it becomes this generational thing, generational should that has no business being a should.
Absolutely. My husband grew up with 4 sisters and no brothers. He was the only male in the house, so he was, buck up, son, go outside and feed them chickens, you know what I'm saying? Buck up, son, we ain't got time for all them feelings, like suck it up, we ain't got time for that. And he became a workaholic who works when he's upset. I wonder why. He's around 4 women now, me and his 3 daughters, and I'm the one going, can't do that. Can't do that with our girls. You got to open up. I was like, you've been emotionally vulnerable with me. You cannot repeat what happened back there. You have to be emotionally vulnerable with your children, because if you demonstrate, and you know what, this is talking to me. Hello, talking to me too. If you demonstrate that to your kids, it's just something that they learn and process themselves of, oh, mom's that way, so I should be that way. So maybe, oops, oh.
The family shoulds, that's where it all begins. Because I think about when I was a kid and all the shoulds that I learned from my whacked out parents. And then especially as a teenager, I learned you should beat your kids, because that's what happened to me. And I know without a doubt in my 20s, had I had kids, I would have hit them, because that's what you should do. And again, we've talked a lot about kind of generational trauma and things like that, but when we're going to keep talking about those things because they matter, they kind of, the crux of One Step Deeper is we want to kind of make you think about mindset things. Why do you believe the things you do? Why do you do the things you do? And it does go back to these kind of norms that we have in our heads. And this should thing, I mean, it's more prevalent than you know. If this is new to you and you're just kind of thinking about shoulding, I hope you really do a deep dive in yourself. And it's not going to be hard. Yeah, you'll find it real fast if you're shoulding yourself, because you'll be in a situation or you'll feel some feeling of despair and go, should. Somewhere along the way, should comes into the equation. And when it does, you're shoulding yourself.
Everybody should.
Everybody doesn't recognize that.
Right. Everybody doesn't recognize it. That's the truth. And that's what this, basically all of these are just a call to action of looking within yourself. Or are you feeling this way? Are you seeing these things? Are you seeing these patterns? Or can you go back into your childhood and realize something that your family has should all over you? Yeah. Wow. It goes so much deeper.
One step deeper even. But see, it's a good name for a podcast. I'm glad you came up with that. So yes. Right?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So help people. I mean, we talked about the gratitude piece. Is there any other kind of tips that you would give for people that are shoulding themselves and always kind of wishing and hoping for more and having expectations? How have you helped yourself deal with the shoulding in your life?
Other than the gratitude, and this isn't always readily available for everybody, and so I want to put myself out there. Hey, you can always talk to me. It's always good to have a sounding board of, if you're feeling some kind of way and you can't recognize why or what exactly it is that you're feeling, if you can't recognize it because there's too many swirls, find a good friend, find a family member that you trust, find somebody, reach out to me. I'll help you the best that I can. I have a really great friend of mine, and I laugh because he's 17 or 18, and we do this with each other. You never know where you're going to find friends with people. And he'll reach out to me, Brittany, I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. And I'll do the same thing. Like, Winston, baby, I don't know what's going on. I need your help. Like, and he is so good at picking the thing out of, oh, nope, there it is. I found it. And I'm the same way with him. I'm like, oh, you're shooting yourself of what you should do, who you should be, how you should be. And so it's always good. And you do this with me too. You're one of my biggest sounding boards of, and you get some challenging, y'all want a challenging question, just reach out to JimmyMoore, because he gonna make you think within like 10 seconds, and you're just gonna be like, oh yeah, about that. But it's always good to have like that sounding board and us. So, because when you have someone on the outside, they can hear it. You can hear when other people are shooting themselves. We're so much harder on ourselves than other people are. And so everybody else that has that caring heart, they can hear it. So that's always a good thing to do.
You did just the other day. You were shooting so much the other day. I don't want to reveal too much of it, but the crux of it was you were wishing things were different than they are. And that's kind of the kind of where we are with this topic of shooting, is there's a desire for something that you're not there yet. Now, is it okay to should and hope you get there someday? Sure. But in the meantime, the should could derail it. And in the midst of should, you're wishing for something. It's kind of like those people that use credit cards frivolously, and they've got a $5,000 limit on this card and a $3,000 limit on this card, because it's all, I should have those things now. Whereas people that are responsible with their money would say, you know what? I want to live within my means. If I have $1,000 and I have something that I want that costs $500, I can go get it. I don't have to should it. I can get it. But if it costs $500 and you have $100, but you got a big old credit card, you should be able to have it. And on that topic, by the way, I got into major debt in my early 20s, tens of thousands of dollars in credit card debt. And it got to the point, 2 years, tens of thousands of dollars of credit card debt because of shoulda. And then finally, one night on a whim, I was so frustrated by all the credit card debt. I stacked them up, put them in a pan, stuck them in a broiled oven until they melted into this glob, pulled it out, let it cool off, and I picked it up. The imprint of one of the numbers was on the bottom of the pan. I was like, oh, we got to scratch that off so nobody can steal my number. And then I put it on the coffee table as a reminder of, I'm going to get out of debt. And that was the culmination of not wanting to should in things anymore. I should not have all things until I'm out of debt. And it took many years to get out of debt. My early 40s, finally paid off all of that debt. And that today I'm debt free because I committed to stop thinking I need to and should have all these things. Now I live within my means, and if I can't get it, I can't get it. It's no big deal. And so that's another kind of hard area of your life where you might think, I've got this credit card, I should be able, because the neighbor's kid has the Nintendo Switch. I got to get my kid the Nintendo Switch. I should be able to do that. I got a credit card that says I can. Never mind, it's going to cost you a lot more in the long run. Yeah, just yet another example of this.
Absolutely. Don't we all get into debt in our 20s? Isn't that universal? I mean,
well,
we were in a lot.
Well, and think, like, you come from your parents' house most of the time, and you go off to college if you're going to do that. You get married or whatever. Your first thought is, well, my parents had a house in this neighborhood or had a house of this value. I should be having a house like that. Not realizing your parents worked 25 years to get in that house. Now you're trying to get into a house before you even started your life. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, that goes back to that generational should, and that gap between, that wasn't taught to me. That wasn't taught to me, that there's a gap between leaving your parents' house and the nice house. Like there's an in-between house. And if we want to be honest, I had 3 in-between houses, and they was scary place to live because I didn't have no monies.
in in between rental places, I stayed in at least 4 different places that were rentals. The house I'm in now is the very first house I ever bought. I bought it 20 years ago, just 19 years ago, almost 20 years ago now, and paid it off in full 5 years ago. So that was cool. But yeah, I mean, it was the culmination of, I finally got to the place in my life where I could get it and where I could make it my own. But I think all the everybody who gets out on their own thinks I should be able to get that kind of house, and they're not thinking through the ramifications of it doesn't work that way.
And it sends you down a mental hellhole of I should be in a better house. And so you feel like you're less than, you feel like you're not good enough, and you're embarrassed to have people over at your house. I'm only saying these things because I did them. I didn't let Jimmy come to my house before I moved in this house because by some standard, what embarrassed isn't the right word. I just like, oh, well, let me get my house that I should be in, not this house. And my house was fine. It helped us. It housed us. It housed my 3 children and my dog and my wild man and me, and it was a house. And so yeah, that man should can go in so many different ways. So many different ways.
And a lot of the ways it's detrimental. So that's kind of the take home I want people to have is, don't think shooting yourself is innocuous. It's having a detrimental effect on you, and shifting that shooting over to gratitude, I think, is a great strategy. And just realizing you don't have to have regrets in your life. I think should is all about what hasn't happened for you. Because I think what happens to us, we sometimes don't take it in stride. We sometimes think, well, we should be better or should be further along in life, or should have this, should have that. And we now just need to know, you know what? Yeah, I guess I have those hopes and dreams, but I'm not going to should them. I'm going to exist where I am now and love where I am now. No matter where you are in your life right this moment, right now is pretty darn good if you really stop and think about it and stop and show all the thankfulness for where you are right this moment.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know if that can ring true for everybody, every situation. If I go back to my early teens, nah, I didn't want to be there.
Oh,
No.
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. My teenage
Yeah,
years
and
eat out of me every day. So I didn't want to be there either. I think what I was trying to say is there's hope that when you start shooting, I guess I did ask those questions of I should be able to have normal parents that support me and love me, but I suppose you can kind of go down that path. I'm assuming that your life is not in a dangerous situation, I guess. So if you take that out of it, that's an anomaly, but it is an anomaly a lot of people have dealt with. But hopefully you're not in the midst of that. Like you're no longer in the midst of your sexual abuse. I'm not in the midst of my physical and emotional abuse. So we're out of those situations. And at this point, and those situations, don't think they don't push you to the should. They absolutely push you to the should. And it's something I'm conscientious of now, that I try to push myself to the gratitude so that I don't get caught up in the despair of the should.
yeah, I knew exactly what you meant. I just wanted to clarify because it's so easy for the people who watch it. Again, I knew exactly what you meant. I knew exactly where you're going with it, but I did not want to come off as, well, I know your life is shitty right now, but you should be happy or you should find gratitude. And it's honestly just it's a pathway to just ground you where you are. So many people should themselves, I mean, literally to death.
Yeah.
Literally. And I've been there. I've been on the brink of giving up on life itself because I just was straight shooting myself. And so I don't ever want anybody to ever get there. And again, I think I say this so often. I am here for anybody that needs to chat.
And so am I, by the way. So if you go to One Step Deeper podcast Instagram page, the links to both me and Brittany are there. And yeah, both of our DMs are wide open for you guys. Before we go, COVID has made a lot of people kind of should themselves as well. Oh my gosh, this should be over by now. I should be able to have a job again or have my full hours again. I should. And so if that's you, if that's what you're shooting yourself about right now, we're all dealing with that. So give people some hope about this situation, how they should not be shooting themselves.
Oh man, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
Like my heart is just broken for the people who have been affected by COVID this year, whether job related, finance related, you've actually lost a loved one related. There's so much. And then on the back end of it, like there's so many shoulds being, you should wear a mask, or no, you should fight for your freedom. I don't know if this shows up on your social media, but it's all over mine. You should do this thing, or you should do that thing. If you don't do this thing, then you're a terrible person. If you do this thing, you're a terrible person. And it's like, my God, people are out there struggling. Can we just give some grace and some hope and some just, sometimes you just need to hug a person. You don't have to have the right answers. You don't have to have the right words. Just give grace to people and give grace to yourself. My God, this has been a tough year. And COVID, outside of anything else personal, COVID in itself has brought so much. And I wish I had the right words to just sear through whatever the people are facing right now. And I don't. I don't.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. And I don't think in all ways saying should is a bad thing, but just catch yourself if you find you're doing it all the time. And hopefully that's kind of the resonating message that comes through loud and clear in this episode 3 of One Step Deeper. We are out of time, Brittany, so let's go ahead and say goodbye. So One Step Deeper podcast Instagram page, she is becoming Brittany Lee. That's Brittany with 2 T's, A-N-Y. I always have to spell it because there's
So many.
Spears. Does she spell it the same way as you?
No, Tenney.
And that's how so that's how people think, because she's the most famous Brittany in the world, I suppose. And so yeah, go check us out over there, you guys. I'm not sure if by the time this airs we'll have our website, but it's coming soon. It's going to be onestepdeeperpodcast.com. Coming soon to the audio podcast. It's going to be up on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the usual, Stitcher, all the usual places you listen to podcasts. And we have a lot of great topics coming up. Next week is going to be a fun one. And we kind of previewed it a little bit earlier. How to have the holidays when you don't like any of these people. It's going to be the week of Christmas that this airs. And we want to prepare you guys because there's a lot of you going to be having gatherings, no matter what they tell you you're not supposed to. A lot of people will. And what do you do? Like, how do you handle being in the midst of them? And you had this not that long ago at another holiday, which we'll talk about next week. And you had to be around a bunch of people and things happen. And what do you do when you don't want to be around these people? It's a mindset thing. It's a philosophy on life thing. It's a how do you manage and cope thing. And we're going to hit all of that on next week's One Step Deeper. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Brittany, and we'll see you next time.
All right, we'll see you.